Hi, I'm Rob, and in this Gems of War video, I'm going to take a look into Soulforge and tell you what I think are the best mythics and best legendary troops in there that are worth crafting, and we'll look at the weapons too. First things first, let's take a look at this weekly event troop, Sun Sprite. Bright Forest Ultra Rare. Give magic +1 life and 3 magic to an ally, and if they are a Fae, double the effect. So, not particularly powerful spell, and you do need Faes in your team to make it vaguely worthwhile. I mean, the life boost is pretty good, but that's only going to get better and better as you get more powerful. But the magic amount is locked, so that's going to be either 3 to a normal troop or 6 to a Fae. I mean, you can get that little boost quite quick because it will start battles with 75% mana if you've got that third trait. But overall, it's not a great spell. I mean, it is only an ultra rare, but hey, yeah, nothing fantastic. I was sitting on the fence between 4 and 5 out of 10 for this, but the fact that that magic amount is locked, then that's basically going to be it for that. So yeah, not fantastic. 4 out of 10, 5 out of 10 if you cast it on a Fae, but otherwise, yeah, not that great. But add it to your roster anyway. You may as well take it up to level 20 if you can. This is going to aid your power level kingdoms in the long run. Getting into Mythic, so we'll do that, 12,300 glory in this case. Done, we'll upgrade that later. I'll always grab the Spoils of War as well. It's only 180 glory each. If you've got the spare glory, take it up to 10, get some more event keys. You may get lucky and get in a troop that you want with those event keys. You never know. That happened to me once. I remember doing that and I unlocked 10 event keys and I got a war, I think it was. I think it was my first or second ever Mythic. It's not that great war, but hey, I was new to the game then and it was quite an exciting time. Anyway, onto the Soulforge itself. We'll start with the weapons first. All the weapons that are here all the time, like Eye of Zathanos, Shattered Blade, Broken Guard, etc. in my Soulforge extra video, which I'll put in the link below in the description. Right, first up we have Shimmer Scale's Wing. Give magic +1 life to all allies, and if Shimmer Scale is on my team, gain an extra turn. So handy to have that extra turn if Shimmer Scale is on the team, but obviously with this weapon that means you've used 2 out of your 4 troop slots absolutely straight away, because you have to use this with Shimmer Scale to get the best effect out of it regarding that extra turn. So yeah, okay if nothing spectacular. But the cool thing about this kind of weapon is they are cheap to craft, just a mere 75 diamonds and a few other bits, and that gives you one more weapon from that kingdom, which is going to help progress your kingdoms in the long run. Right, these are there all the time. As I said there in the Soulforge extra video, Trickster's Shot is here. Excellent, excellent weapon. You pretty much need to get this. Very, very good indeed. Eliminates all armor from an enemy, so regardless of the amount of armor, on those really high level delves, for example, just bang, all your armor is gone no matter what the amount. Deal magic +3 damage, gain 2 magic boosted by the armor eliminated, so it will do even more damage the next time. And in the upgrade it's enchanting, which means as soon as you cast it, it gets enchanted and will be ready to do it again in no time. Fantastic weapon, absolutely essential. Go grab that thing. Summer Aegis, I need to save up some diamonds, haven't hardly got any. I had to spend them on other stuff. But these weapons here are both pretty good. One of these weapon types where they deal damage to an enemy, boosted by, in this case, Bright Forest allies, then create a mix of 6 green and red gems for each Bright Forest ally. Uses purple and yellow, so is not going to self-charge, so you need to make sure you use other troops that do use green and red in this instance to benefit from that lovely mana gen. Fairy Ring. Magic. Base damage to an enemy, boosted by Fae allies this time, then create a mix of 6 green and purple for each Fae ally. Likewise, like with the other weapon, this uses yellow and blue, so it will not self-charge, so make sure those Fae allies, at least a couple of them, use green and purple, otherwise you're not going to benefit from that mana. Right, so Staff of Bright Forest, this is kind of the anti-Bright Forest weapon, as I call them. Removes all green gems with no effect. Some players wonder what's the point of that. Well, green is the colour that Bright Forest troops like the most, so by taking them away you're actually hindering the best way that that team could possibly generate mana maybe. and then deal damage to the enemy boosted by gems removed. But if the enemy is from a Bright Forest, or if the battle is in a Bright Forest, deal a double damage. Uses purple. Obviously make sure the rest of your team, if possible, doesn't use green, otherwise you're going to actually hinder your own mana gen, which is not the idea. Duskbringer is there all the time. A Mystic Manuscript. Really good weapon this. Love these explodey summony weapons. Explodes magic +1 purple gems. Grants a random status effect to all Mystic allies. Then summons a Mystic troop. Some really good Mystic troops in the game. This has enchanting as well. So when you cast it, it's going to be enchanted and ready to do it again in a handful of turns. So really, really cool weapon. I love these ones. Absolutely superb. Wow. Hope people have got some some diamonds this week. There's some great weapons here this week. Really is. Celestial Flask, another really, really good weapon. Create 3 potions of either blue, green, red, yellow, or purple, and gain an extra turn. Now that gain an extra turn, providing you're not frozen, is guaranteed. And the way that those potions work, in case you don't know, potions basically create a lot more gems of that color when matched. And basically, like with that extra turn, you can cast this, and if you don't get an automatic match straight away, you can use the extra turn to actually do that, and then gain a load of mana. Probably get an extra turn again, and then repeat the process, charging up your team really quickly. Really, really good weapon. Like it a lot. It's got some good upgrades as well, like curing means it's going to cleanse itself. Really, really cool. Yeah, Celestial Flask, really good. Crikey, so we've got Celestial Flask, we've got Mystic Manuscript. These two aren't bad. Trickster's Shot is essential. Crikey. So Weaponed Wonderland. And these are here all the time. So, oh, we got another one, Doomed Poignard. Magic-based damage to the last enemy, boosted by green gems. If they have a Doom, deal double damage, and there's a 3% per tempering level chance to kill the enemy. Good if you get lucky, but I'm never a fan of these low percentage chance things to kill the enemy. It's just a bit of a stab in the dark, no pun intended. But yeah, can be good. You can chuck it on your Guild Wars team, for example, if you got this thing fully powered up, and then you may surprise the opponent with a sudden unexpected death, which they really weren't expecting, which has a habit of happening on Guild Wars. So yeah, maybe, but nothing spectacular. I wouldn't actually go crafting it specifically. All right, let's move on to the troops. Let's start from the Mythics, who bizarrely not at the bottom at the moment. We have Queen of Sin. Deals magic-based true damage to the first 2 enemies, summon Wrath or Lust, then Bless or Daemon allies. So you do need Daemons on your team to benefit from this troop the most, and it's just alright. Nothing too fantastic, nothing great in the traits either. Enemies lose 4 from a random skill point when an ally casts a spell. Is okay, but in a typical team, basically that's going to take too long to be effective. So yeah, nothing fantastic there, unfortunately. And you are forced to target the first 2 enemies as well, which can be good sometimes, but not at others. So a bit situational. She can be effective, but not great. Possessed King. Bit of a yin and yang with this one, some good and bad. If you craft this, you're not doing it for that spell. Does damage to all enemies. There's plenty of troops which do equal or better damage to all enemies than that, but it is boosted by both Daemon allies and enemies. And there are 3 separate 20% chances to transform a random enemy into a Daemon, excuse me. The trouble with that is sometimes you can change an enemy into an even better one that was there in the first place, which is really not the idea. The reason why people like this troop is that 3rd trait. Explode 2 random gems on 4 or 5 gem matches. Now, it doesn't sound much, but trust me, when you get those 4 or 5 gem matches and those 2 gems are exploding, then it generates mana really quickly for the rest of the team. That is the main reason why you want the Possessed King. That is a super, super powerful 3rd trait and severely underrated by some people. You just don't realize how good that is until you get this guy, plonk him on your team, get a couple of 4 matches, and you realize how quickly you are charging up your team. Really, really good. Who else we got? The Worldbreaker. Was not too bad in his day, but that mana cost 30. Explodes a locked amount of gems, in this case 18 gems. This is pretty good if you're a newer player because you're not relying on magic-based damage, for example, to explode a decent amount of gems. This is always going to explode 18 gems, and then does damage to all enemies. So that explosion of gems can cause a lot of mana gen and maybe self-charge. But yeah, just better ways of doing things in the game these days. He is immune to Devour, has reflect 25% of skull damage, which is pretty cool, and gain 5 to 8 random skill on 4 or 5 gem matches. Is again, it's not really insane growth these days. That'd be renamed to okay growth. Nothing too spectacular. Wolfgarok. Damage to an enemy boosted by Wargar allies, and if the enemy dies, devour a random enemy. So the idea with this troop is you soften somebody up, hit them with that spell, which you know is then going to kill them, and then you're guaranteed 2 deaths. So very, very good indeed. Well, not guaranteed 2 deaths, because it's devour a random enemy, so if they're immune to devour, that wouldn't work. Impervious is pretty cool, immune to all status effects, devour, lycanthropy, and mana burn, and give 2 attack and magic to allied wargear when matching 4 or more gems is okay. So is that it? Wolfgarok, Worldbreaker, Possessed King, and yeah, and Queen of Sin. Right, let's take a look at these legendaries now. Don't usually say to craft legendaries because they are more likely to turn up in chests than mythics by a country mile. But a couple of the ones here are really good this week. Tannenbaum does magic-based damage to an enemy, entangles them, and then pulls them to the front. So you can see the advantages of that. You're actually going to be able to target an enemy who thinks they were safe at the back, providing they're not stealthy, pull them to the front where they're now vulnerable, and entangle them. So you can then create some skulls, and they're not going to be able to hit you back with any of those skulls that missed. So as well as that, it's immune to all status effects, devour, lycanthropy, and mana burn. And this is ideal in first place because you also get that reduced damage from skulls by 33% and deal triple skull damage versus entangled enemies. So particularly powerful after you've cast that spell. Frost Feather does damage to all enemies if there's an ice storm, curse all enemies. So damage to all, the ice storm curse is pretty decent sometimes if it's required. Divinia, what a troop, absolutely superb. In some Guild Wars teams, there's 5 typical things I look for. I look for someone that explodes gems to generate mana quickly. I look for someone that is going to cleanse all allies, because you need a cleanse in many, many teams. Look for someone that gives life. I look for someone that gives a class or troop that gives a 50% mana start to as many troops as possible. Things like that. And I often look for a summon as well, because a summon is really good for Guild Wars, and it is Guild Wars week. But Divinia has 3 of those things at once. She explodes gems, generating mana, cleanses all allies, and gives everyone life. Fantastic. As well as that, she has Mana Shield, immune to Mana Burn, Mana Drain, and Mana Steal, and Dragon's Blessing. Cause a random positive status effect on a random ally on 4 or 5 gem matches. So Divinia, absolutely superb legendary troop. Who else do we have? Winter Imp, another decent troop here. Some really nice troops today. Particularly legendaries, bizarrely. Does 50 true scatter damage in my case, that's magic plus 4 I presume, to all enemies boosted by blue gems. If an enemy dies, freeze all enemies. But it's that chill, which is the key to this. Gain 8 magic on blue gem matches. Not full matches, just blue gem matches. Get this in a loopy blue team, and this thing's magic just goes wildly out of control, and you can do absolutely massive, massive damage really, really quickly. So really cool. Is that the 4th? 1, 2, 3, 4. Yes, it is. So that is them. So who is going to be my Mythic of the week? I really love Divinia and Tannenbaum in this lot here. They're both absolutely superb. But let's pick a Mythic. It's not going to be Queen of Sin. It's not going to be the Worldbreaker. Wolfgarok's right in the correct team, but just for that 3rd trait, because it is just so good, it is mega effective, has to go to Possessed King. Damage to all as well. You can cast it as a bit of a Hail Mary if you need a bit of a panic cast, but don't be surprised if one of them troops doesn't often change to a enemy daemon, which is more powerful than the one that was there. That can happen sometimes. Just get it for that awesome 3rd trait. Really, really good. Really love the Possessed King. Works so well in so many teams. And the cool thing about him as well is For example, you've got a team where the bread and butter of it is the first 3 troops, and that bottom troop, the one in last place, is kind of an extra. You don't really need it, but it's just an extra. This is where Possessed King really comes in handy. You can just use that 3rd trait to your heart's content, charging up the rest of the team really, really quickly. So there it is, there's a video for this week. I'll be back later on with my World event team, so be sure to check back for that later if you fancy it. But thanks for watching this one, and I'll catch you again next time. Bye for now.